what actually happens when you suddenly get booted from the two biggest software clubs on the planet. We're talking no Android for your phones, no Windows for your computers. Boom, both doors slam shut at the exact same time. For the vast majority of companies out there, that kind of intense pressure is an immediate game over. But as the source material reveals, Huawei didn't fold up shop. Instead, they built an entirely new foundation.
Section 1. The day doors slammed shut in a permanent geopolitical shift. Looking at the timeline here, the squeeze happened incredibly fast. Back in May 2019, the US put Huawei on the entity list. Almost overnight, this broke their overseas phone experience. Why? Because they lost Google Mobile Services. That's the invisible engine running the Play Store, Gmail, Google Maps. Just gone. And then, at the same time, their laptops got hit, severing access to Intel and AMD chips. You know, the literal brains that modern Windows machines absolutely rely on to function? When your core processors are suddenly off limits, it effectively freezes your ability to manufacture and sell standard hardware to the public.
The executive team, well, they realized instantly that this wasn't just some temporary storm they could wait out. There was no magic phone call they could make and no check big enough to buy their way out of this severed connection. These sources point out this was a permanent geopolitical shift in how the global tech system treated companies caught between competing superpowers.
So, instead of panicking, the leadership team looked at this existential crisis and essentially went, "See, we knew it." To them, this was the ultimate validation of a really dark, long-standing fear they had. Relying on software owned by a distant foreign power was a fatal business flaw. A single decision made all the way over in Washington state had the power to literally break a business that took decades to build.
Section 2. Building a sanctions-proof foundation through a 5-year patient game.
Right around this time, Chinese state media started throwing around a very specific term, self-controllable. It's actually a really fascinating concept. Basically, it means completely stripping out all foreign code to build a tech foundation that a company fully 100% owns. And the underlying logic is pretty airtight. Think about it. If you own your platform entirely, absolutely nobody else can ever take it away from you. But pulling this off, that required some next-level patience. Back in 2019, they launched HarmonyOS. A lot of early critics totally laughed it off as a political PR stunt because, well, it was still quietly running on an open-source Android foundation. But Huawei was just playing a 5-year-long game here. That early version was simply a bridge. Over those next 5 years, they did the incredibly unglamorous work of stripping out every single piece of code that depended on Android, eventually launching a completely independent ecosystem called HarmonyOS NEXT.
And get this, they didn't stop at just phones. They took on an incredibly high engineering cost to unify all these different devices into one smooth experience, with absolutely zero hidden Android layer running in the background. But, you know, in tech there's always a catch. But again, it was the necessary price to pay to ensure the platform could never, ever be yanked away.
Moving on to Section 3, targeting the PC monopoly and breaking a 40-year reign.
1 billion. Let that staggeringly huge number sink in for just a second. That is the amount of potential users in China's captive market. China is the largest personal computer market in the entire world, and for decades, they've relied almost exclusively on Microsoft Windows. Now, when you have a billion users anchored to one foreign system, that level of dependence becomes a massive, glaring vulnerability the absolute second international tensions turn into actual policy.
And this dynamic is creating a perfect storm right now. You've got this geopolitical fear of relying on American software colliding head-on with a massive forced upgrade cycle triggered by the end of Windows 10 support. Beijing is actively nudging state offices, hospitals, and banks to use this exact transitional moment to finally ditch Microsoft and switch over to homegrown alternatives instead.
So how do they actually make that enterprise switch happen? They're basically executing a slow, steady rollout, replacing Windows one office at a time.
Section 4. Selling geopolitical tech insurance and the global expansion.
Now here's a major twist that most headlines are totally missing. This homegrown operating system is absolutely not stopping at China's borders. It turns out Huawei is leveraging its deep, established telecom relationships across the global south, places like Southeast Asia, the Middle East, parts of Africa, and Latin America, to actively push this brand new software. They've had a massive foothold supplying network equipment in these exact regions for over a decade now.
What it boils down to is that Huawei is selling these nations a geopolitical insurance policy. For anyone watching global tech trends, this is a massive shift, offering a fully functional OS that literally cannot be shut down by outside pressure.
Finally, Section 5, the ultimate boomerang effect and a changed landscape. The truly fascinating outcome detailed in the source material is this. The very restrictions that were designed to weaken the company ended up acting as the origin story for a massive new competitor. That intense squeeze forced Huawei to create an entirely separate, self-sustaining technology stack. This massive ecosystem simply would not exist today if they hadn't been locked out in the first place. Talk about a boomerang effect.
The global technology landscape is forever changed. Which leaves us with this final, massive question to consider. Windows obviously isn't going to vanish overnight, but the sudden existence of a proven, independent alternative is a reality we all have to face now. So, does this new blueprint spread beyond China and reshape global tech ecosystems for good? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this helped you see the bigger picture behind the headlines. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you in the next one.